If you're early in your career and you are constantly trying to prove yourself, this might be what's exhausting you. What is it? In your first job, or your first years in your first job, or you've changed jobs. The first years, it's very common to feel you need to prove yourself constantly. Prove that you're capable, prove you deserve a role, prove you're intelligent, prove you belong, and belonging into the group, the team, the department, the company. That internal pressure can become constant, even if nobody has explicitly asked you to prove anything. Trying to prove yourself often looks like, and I could list so many things, but let's say it can look like saying yes to everything. So you're trying to prove yourself, saying yes to everything, volunteering for everything, or not volunteering for anything. That could also happen because you don't want to look too eager, or you don't want to feel that you're not doing the right thing, so you don't volunteer. Over explaining your decisions, over preparing, overthinking, and that's a big one. Overthinking feedback, and I can't stress this one enough. Overthinking feedback. Feedback is always for good, always. It doesn't matter what it is. Taking on more than necessary. Feeling tense before meetings, and that's a big one. Replaying conversations afterwards. Now, you're trying to secure a position. That instinct is understandable. But there's one thing that nobody clearly explains. The more you try to prove yourself, the less steady you often appear. Not because you lack ability, because you probably don't lack ability. Maybe you do, and then that's something to be addressed. And you can always learn a new skill. But because proving creates urgency. And urgency communicates insecurity. So there's a difference between demonstrating capability and trying to prove worth. I'll say it again. Capability, worth. Capability, worth. Balance it out. Capability, worth. Demonstrating capability is calm. Trying to prove worth is being anxious, and it can cause anxiety. In your first year, it's easy to blur those two together. Capability, worth. You might think, if I just work harder, speak more, deliver more, they'll see my value. But professionally, and professional environments operate on consistency, not intensity. Consistency builds trust. Intensity can create noise. When you stop trying to prove yourself, something subtle shifts. You begin to speak when it adds value, not to fill silence. Not be silent also. So you have to speak up when you have something to say, and you learn that too. Accept feedback without dramatic interpretation. Prioritize properly instead of overcoming and overcommitting. Deliver steadily instead of impressively. You don't want to impress anybody. Ask clear questions instead of pretending to understand. And this one is a big one. Out of the 5 I've said, this is a big one. Clear questions instead of pretending to understand. How many people pretend to understand? They deliver the task, and then the task is wrong, or it's not the right task, or it's been delivered basically wrong. That steadiness is powerful, and it often earns more respect than visible effort. Let's say something important here, and that's probably the most important one here today, besides another 2. In your early career, you are rarely evaluated on how impressive you are. You are evaluated on 4 things. Clarity, the first one. Reliability, responsiveness, how you respond, and professional judgment. Trying to prove yourself can distort those. So you might overcommit, miss deadlines. One way or another, you will miss the deadline somehow. Over-explain, you confuse clarity. Overextend, you burn out. The intention is good. The outcome can be very unstable. So there's also an internal shift that happens when you stop proving. You stop asking, do they think I'm good enough? Do they think I'm good enough? You don't want to be asking yourself that question constantly, or not even once, to be honest. And start asking, what is required here? What is required here? That question moves you from self-focus to task-focus. Self-focus to task-focus, the task you've got in hand. And that's professional maturity. And that's where it begins, task-focused. When I progressed early in my career, I had moments where I realized something important. The people who appeared strongest were not constantly asserting themselves. They were steady, measured, clear. They didn't rush to display intelligence. They focused on delivering reliably. That shift changed how I operated and how I saw all the operations in a company. All the operation side. What I mean is not just operations, so how it operated in every big block. So that means operation side, it means marketing, sales, and obviously all departments. So basically, that reduced unnecessary pressure. Trying to prove yourself often comes from fear, I would say, absolutely. Fear of being exposed, fear of being behind, fear of not progressing fast enough. And these fears then show as what I've said. They show as overcommitting, saying yes to everything, or being silent, or over-explaining yourself. But here is the paradox. When you operate from fear, you amplify it without realizing. When you operate from steadiness, you reduce it. I'll say that again. When you operate from fear, it amplifies, and people will notice, they will perceive it, they will see it. They will see it in your eyes, in your actions, in everything you do, because you're not confident. And that's basically what it is. But if you operate from steadiness, you reduce it. And steadiness does not mean passivity, to be passive. It means clarity without urgency. It means taking responsibility without emotional escalation. It means contributing with performing. And if you feel tired in your early career, ask yourself, I'm really tired about this. Then ask yourself, am I trying to prove something constantly? Or am I building something steadily? Am I proving or am I building? And those are different energies. And they create different trajectories over time. That people who grow sustainably are not always the loudest or the fastest. They are often the most consistent. You can have speed, but if you don't have consistency, fast is not good enough. When you stop trying to prove yourself, your work becomes cleaner. Your communication becomes clearer, your judgment becomes sharper, and your presence becomes more solid. That shift makes transition from early insecurity to professional stability. So clarity is the beginning, and practice is what makes and creates that change. If you want to become a professional self-leader and work with me in the mentorship, you will find the link below. I wait you there. eagerly. I'm very, very happy to train many, many, many people, to mentor many, many, many people. And I really hope to see you there.